Hey, hey, you know, we're learning.
Right.
We're experimenting right here.
Pon esto ahí.
What's
You want to put the comments on there? Put it in front of you if you want.
I got my phone. So it don't matter. Put it wherever. Yeah.
I didn't put the little inside.
Sure. But you're on this screen too. You see that, right?
I do.
Yeah,
I'm going to turn it around too.
That's
So
dope.
people can.
All right. Let me see now.
Or you like it? I see. You like side by side? I see.
Yeah, that works.
You said, yeah. Dude, don't forget to hit that like.
Let me see what it sounds like on here.
A little bit laggy, a little bit choppy. Let me know. Everyone's coming in the comment section. I appreciate you.
You know what? Watch this. I could just mute mine. And then see, people could probably still hear
Pocho Live Podcast. I appreciate you, my boy. Look who's in the house.
What's up, Pocho? Let me see, live. There we go. We got Torre Chapatin.
Just let me know how the audio sound, you guys. Let me know if you can hear me. Can you hear Josh real clear? Hit a 1 if you can hear me and you can hear Josh real clear before we continue.
I can hear. That's good now? Okay.
It's good? Oh, okay. We're good.
Sounds better now? Sounds better with Josh muted.
All right. Don't forget to hit that like, gente. Beautiful Sunday out here. This is sunrise. It's beautiful, man. It's just so much sun out here. Hit the like, Machete. I see you, my boy. Everyone else jumping in the comment section. I see. Oh, thank you, Pocho. I appreciate you letting me know that it's all good. Yeah, we're good.
Yeah, Papa. M-Star Garrett, big figures. Okay, good.
All right. So we're doing something a little bit different now. It's pretty much a split screen. So let's just go ahead and kick this off now. Gracias for tuning in to Chicano Tube. I got a very special guest right here. Someone they've been commenting that they've been wanting to see come on Chicano Tube. And he's here now. And I'm going to go ahead and introduce him over to the people. As you can see him sitting side by side, though. I know you got the straight on angle.
That's it.
But you can see the behind the scenes as well. Cabron, how are you?
What's up, guys? What's up, Mikey? Of course. So yeah, and it's a pleasure to be on Chicano Tube, and welcome to the Homie Hangout, where we haven't been popping, for a while, but we're back. And what better way to do it, right, than to sit here and hang out with the brother Mikey and the new branded channel of the Chicano Tube. For those that don't know, obviously I'm Rascal. Other people call me Joshua. I don't mind either one. And we help others move in excellence on this channel, right? This is not a reaction channel. It's not a drama channel. We're just trying to help people move forward, but also share stories with good people, and with people whose life story really can help others, and that's what Mikey does. I respect Mikey because he helps others move in excellence by his example, by his skill sets and his knowledge. And it's an excuse, he's right here in my neighborhood now. He's right here close by in my new neighborhood, right? And so
that's right.
Had to pull up, man, and
the pull up is real.
It is.
Most definitely right here. And so welcome to Chicano Tube. And again, if I don't want to exclude, of course, the Homie Hangout and Rascal Reacts también. So all these channels are collaborating right now. If someone could do me a favor, just in the comment section and drop those links to the channel as we let's get into a good conversation. Because it's always going to be a good conversation right here. You know what? Some people actually, you know what they told me, Raskizi? They wanted me to debate you.
On which one?
On everything.
On anything.
They said, because you would give me a run for my money. They said you would give me a run for my money. Maybe that's coming soon. If we get enough ones, maybe we can get something together and schedule something. You guys want to hear two different points of views, or I actually don't even know what they were insinuating that we had opposing views on. I'm just going off what the comments said, and I'm like,
and that's what my question would be is, I hear Mikey on camera, right, just like you guys do, and oftentimes I agree with you, right? So if there is something that we have different views on, I'd be happy to have that conversation with you. I think, I'll talk about anything with
I'm all for
Everybody
having an
wants. Yeah,
intelligent conversation,
exactly.
and then that way people can benefit from it.
Exactly.
And my goal is always to have people try to come off and objectively think,
Right.
and not go down one. There's two sides to a coin, but often there's way more sides when it comes
Right.
to an issue.
Yeah.
Things can get very, very complex.
Yeah.
Segueing into this, let me go ahead and ask you. This is for
Okay.
Chicano Tube. I got a question for Chicano Tube. It's one of the principal questions that I always ask to each and every single invitee. And you're actually my second guest. The first one I had was Cholo Trucker.
I've seen that, and I
Cholo
watched
Trucker.
that too. That was a great conversation, by the way. I enjoyed that.
Yes, yeah, no, Cholo, man, shout out to him. He was talking about his benefit money that he gave 100% for the people. He said he would have gave that charity the whole 43 hundo, but it's a global company, and they don't pick up their phones.
Right.
They don't pick up their phones, but shout out to him. And then having you on here, I already know it's going to be an intelligent conversation.
Always.
So the first thing I want to ask you is, Raskizi, if you had to define this and put this down on concrete, if you had to define this, what would be your definition of the word Chicano?
Good question. I heard you just the other day where you asked me 1,000 times, and you can get 1,000 different answers, right? And I echo that, but I think fundamentally is somebody with Mexican roots that is also American and embraces both of those identities. I think I think there's a tension in being Chicano and Chicanismo, so to speak, right? I think its origins kind of represent that tension.
A lot of people use it divisively. También, as to focus on that and that being the whole agenda.
And I think a lot of that comes from divisive politics in the '60s, right? When the government was trying to point out everybody's a communist, and everybody's this and that, and if you're not red, white, and blue, then you're the devil, right? But that's just not a lot of people's experiences, and it also there's different views on what it is to be proud to be an American. And I think that's again that tension that Chicano lives in, right? Of your roots are outside the current borders of this country. Maybe they're within the old borders of the country, but they're outside the current borders of the country. And you have that tension of identity, right? And you're part Mexican, but you're not quite Mexican enough, oftentimes for Mexicans, so to speak, right? You're not American enough for Americans, right? You're that in between. But you're not the only one. There's a whole community of folks like that. And they're able to embrace both identities. But I think fundamentally that's what it is the tension between being of Mexican descent and embracing that, and also being American, right? And embracing that as well in its own way.
So are you putting that mutually exclusive to having Mexican bloodline ancestry, as opposed to some people say there's Chicanos in Japan that are low riding?
See, and I think
is it an identity thing, or does it have to be something, or do you come more from a traditional standpoint when you approach it and be like, some certain things are set in stone, or certain things are evolving with time, and then now they're Chicanos in Japan with no blood, Mexican blood.
So it's not my place to be the Chicano police, right? It's not my place to tell somebody else what they are or what they're not. You know, the origins of the word are pretty clear, right? The origins of the word are no, you have Mexican ancestry, right? There is a culture associated with that outwardly Chicano, right, so to speak. Like, but even that's not necessarily true because you have a lot of Chicanos that are not into low riding. You have a lot of Chicanos that don't
wearing cholo clothes, driving cholo cars,
and that doesn't make them less, in my opinion. That doesn't make them less Chicano, right? You have others where you may look at somebody and be like, "Oh man, that's a proud Chicano right there," and they may not identify as Chicano. They may reject that label, either because of, like you said, using it in a divisive way in the past and as a put down, right? And so, especially ties. Probably older folks, right, would tend to kind of push back against that. Don't put that label on me, because of fear or concern of what that represents. So it's not my place, and I don't think it's much of anybody else's place to go around like the identity police. right, and kind of wag your finger. Um, I don't know where the benefit of that is. Like, who grows from that?
How do you think that even came as a conversation? You know what I'm saying? Because it seems like what is understood doesn't have to be explained.
Right.
And so since they've been calling Chicanos first generation Mexican Americans born here, but obviously spoke a whole lot more English because we're born here. Like, how did it even come to that? You think it's just divisive politics, probably?
I think it is. Well, and because too often, a lot of us, all of us, in some way, believe that in order for me to rise, I have to push you down. Right? It's like there's a counterbalance. Like, for any step up, you have to step down. For me to step up, you have to step down. I have to push you down if you don't want to step down. For me to be great, I have to point out how you're not quite so great. You could be good, Holmes, but you're not as great. So let me find that thing that makes me greater, right? Or I'm greater because I'm lighter skinned. Or actually, I'm greater because I'm darker skinned because I'm more of the roots of the land and I'm less tainted with the colonizers. But like, everybody was just competition internally. But culture, as much as sometimes we don't like it, as much as I think everybody, no matter where your family comes from, can relate to sometimes seeing somebody else kind of maybe adopt a style that you're familiar with, or embrace something like it's brand new, right? Like white people, avocados, right? Like all these new magic, things. And like, come on, Holmes, right? That's natural. That's normal. I think to feel that way sometimes, feel a little protective, feel a little like, that ain't you, right? But it's also as natural and normal for culture to evolve that way. That's how it happens. None of us owns any of this. You can't own culture. No matter what you look at, it's been influenced elsewhere, right? So again, I don't think those conversations are helpful.
Got it.
It doesn't mean you have to like it. It doesn't mean you have to agree. You know, but there's so much more beautiful things to put our energy in than running around trying to figure out who's stepping outside the bounds, and then being the hall monitor to wave our arms. Hey, 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 you stepped too far on that line. You stepped over there, right?
Oh yeah. I appreciate the answer. Always clear, concise. I appreciate it. And then we're gonna get something maybe for the homie hangout. Hit the like, hit the like. Don't forget to hit the thumbs up, gente, and share the broadcast also as well. Something for the homie hangout. Rascal Reacts.
Sure.
I've been in the mix a lot in YouTube in the last year and a half, even in lately. Is there anything?
Well, lately a little more mix. You've been on the scene, yes, for quite a while. Yeah. First off, I just want to say I've said it in comments before, and I've told you the rebranding of the Salinas Report. Not that I didn't love the Salinas Report, because I did, but the rebranding of Chicano Tube. Every now and then you see somebody do something, and you're like, "Fuck, I wish I thought of that." Right? That's one of those moments. I was like, "Oh, that dude killed it right now." That's it. That was a genius move, right? And I can't think of a better person to do it, right? So sometimes you see a move that you're like, that's a badass move right there. But maybe you weren't the one to make that move. But okay, but I can't think of a better person to do it. You can navigate that space, right? Like, you fit there. That fits. Um, but the potential is there, man. There's nothing else like it. It's. I'm sitting wondering, well, how come there hasn't been a Chicano YouTube for a long time, right? Like,
yeah.
I was like, damn, that's
yeah.
So props for that, man, and for the platform. And I think you can handle the responsibility of that space, well.
Yeah.
So I think you can handle it well. And so that part first, man. I love it, bro. I love it. I want to get some merch and all that good stuff. In terms of a question.
Yeah, I've been on some videos. Some people have been asking me about this and that. What happened, Mikey? What's going on? I think people just appreciate that I don't duck any question. I don't duck anything. I'm gonna tell you exactly how it is because life's too short. I'm not checking out of this life with anything unanswered. If someone had, to answer it, and mostly I shoot that in the members only.
Right.
But we're here now.
So I think
my clarification, further detail.
I think in terms of like the drama stuff, so to speak, right? They said, "Damn, you about to gonna look in the camera?" Yeah, my bad. Okay.
Hey, it's because we side by side, and that's how we did the video frame. So we side by side. I can see it. This pop up right there.
I didn't.
I see you guys.
I don't know a whole lot of the etiquette for doing lives like this with two folks in person. It's not something I've done a lot. So
okay, we're gonna look more at the camera then. I guess we're talking to the camera,
so,
and then that way we can see the comments popping up. Right, and maybe let me see if I tilt it.
What do you think about that little bit of my family history?
Randy Jean.
That was a lot.
Spots.
That was a lot, bro. That was a lot. And I appreciate that, like sharing the pictures and that kind of stuff, man. That was deep. So a question for Mikey. Let me look through his comments a little bit, see if you guys got one.
Okay. I'm on the hot seat. Let's see what the people want to see. Drop a comment below. Don't forget to share that live.
I don't
I'm gonna look straight at the camera.
This way, the other guy looking that way.
Oh, I know. Right. we corrected it already. All right. So this is where it starts. I'm gonna move this out of the way.
Hey, so interesting question. This isn't really throw it out there real quick. Somebody asked
Machete, I see you, my boy.
They wanted to know your opinion on what's the difference between a Chicano and a Pocho.
A Chicano and a Pocho. Damn. Okay. Well, both. That's a good question. A Pocho might just see a Pocho is not. You ain't ever seen no one drill down on a Pocho and give a Pocho any kind of cultural significance. There's a reason they don't give Pocho cultural significance or link it and get deeper and give it a definition that has ancestral shit or anything like that, because that could just be someone that is okay. I'll give you an example of a Pocho. I got an example of a Pocho right here. My last crimey and my last case. I had to put it out there, okay? He was a Pocho. Why? My dad would see him and be like, "Hey, ¿cómo estás?" and start talking Spanish to him because he's browner than me. And he's browner than my dad. But I had to tell him, "No habla español." And my dad would get mad. "Oh, como no?" And I said, "No, you're forgetting. You're confusing him with someone else. That's a Pocho. But it's not the Chicano. It's not Chicano because the Chicano is pretty much, it's defined already and has significant decades of history. So it's different. It's on a whole nother level. You can call someone a Pocho. That's cool. Shout out to Pocho. Pocho One.
Pocho One
podcast. Shout out to Pocho. Pocho One. And maybe I got it twisted. Maybe Pocho knows a better definition. I'm not the thesaurus, or I'm not the judge. I don't have the final word on things. But I can tell you what I think Chicano is, and I think I have more than the traditional definition, because I heard it all my life, and I grew up with my parents, hearing it. So I already knew what it was. It's basically, they just wanted to come over here. They wanted to give me and my sister a better life. And I'm a Chicano, and I know that through and through.
Yeah, I think Pocho. See, Chicano was born out of a place of power, right? Chicano was born out of a place of pride, and some people then would use it as and kind of be dismissive about it. I think Pocho has always been meant to be an insult. It. I don't think that word was intended to empower. It was intended to put down. And now some people have embraced it, like, oh, hey, it is what it is. Like Pocho, right? Pocho One, podcast. And so it's not that it's always used that way, but the roots, I think, are different. I think Chicano comes from a place of empowering and building up, whereas Pocho comes from a place of kind of pushing to the side, right? More dismissive. But I also think Pocho, because Chicano is a term that was come up with in the United States, of course. I think Pocho started in Mex. I don't think Pocho started here.
Yeah.
Although I'm not 100% sure.
Me neither.
But I think Pocho started down there.
Call it what you want. I see you, my boy. So, did you see that video that I did on Cesar Chavez?
I did.
Okay, I was gonna ask you this.
Sure.
Give me your thoughts, on the video or just on the topic itself, if you could.
Sure.
Did I hit anything? Did I get anything wrong? I really just kind of don't really open up books or watch documentaries. I have what's in the data bank. You know, maybe I should open up more books and research more. I have what's in the data bank, but again, it's been a lot of years since I was reading books, sitting down where I could study, focus on studying. Did I hit it? Is he for the people? Was he helping the people? Was he a plant? Some people actually say he was a plant. He was a distraction. Let me
see. I'm glad you mentioned that. A lot of times now we have this thing where we want to look. I'm not saying it's what you did, but there's a school of there's a mindset sort of right. There's an approach, and it kind of stems out of academia, out of the academic arena, but it's kind of filtered out, um, to our communities of looking at our elders, looking at really icons from times past, and in this age of accountability, right? Um, Excuse me, you got the Me Too movement, and just different movements of like, hey, we're gonna dig up people's past, and we're gonna hold you now. Nobody was saying nothing about you back then, but this generation we're different, and the internet, and we can find out anything, and we're gonna hold you accountable. Did Chavez stand against immigration? Right, of course. Yeah, he was very much against the Bracero program. A lot of people in the brown community were against the Bracero program. It was a very abusive program, right? Um, it was an illegal program. Um,
Break that down a little
and
bit,
so
because I'm not even knowing too much.
So the Bracero program was basically, we're going to drive down to Mets, pick up people, bring them over here, work them here, and then drive them back, drop them off.
Okay,
right?
yeah.
So it was the long arm, right? The Bracero, the long.
I knew
arm
the actions, but I didn't know the name. Yeah. Oh, it had a name. Yeah. They called it a program because I knew the movidas.
So so it was a Bracero program, right? And so I think Chavez is a complicated person. I think if you look today, given the anti-immigrant voice in this country and the build the wall and all this other stuff, right? And you hear that, and that's the reality that we're in now. And then you hear that this dude, 30 years ago, 40 years ago, 50 years ago, was standing against immigration and was using derogatory terms at times, right? It, it almost makes it seem like Chavez would be voting for Trump if he were around right now, right? Which is anything further from the truth.
His convictions are different.
The era was different, and so what he wanted was workers, migrant workers, in particular in the fields where it wound up kind of growing to include canneries and all kinds of people all over the country. But initially, the agriculture workers to have better conditions, to have safer conditions.
From Salinas to Yuma.
And so,
that whole little stretch all the way down.
And so, in order to do that, he came to believe that because he kind of got into the organizing stuff, right? He went to the Navy. It didn't really play out too well for him in the Navy. He's like, I'm cool. He left the Navy, comes back out, links up, with these community organizers. So he's kind of doing voter registration drives and that kind of stuff. But he's a field worker. He's always been a field worker, right? He was a field worker before he went to the Navy. He was a field worker after he came back. That's what his family's always done. So that's his community, and he's looking at how can I take these organizing skills and use that in my community, right? Well, unions, and you got to think of the era, the idea of unions, Teamsters, that kind of shit. Unions are popping, and unions are changing the workforce, right?
Oh, yeah.
Well, why can't we get a union for these guys? But now we have collective power. Now we have the power of community because these individual growers, they're not representing us. They're not helping us. The folks in government who was also Raza that was in charge of watching over these growers wasn't doing their job because they were on the payroll. But you can't unionize people that don't have a legal right to work in the United States. That's the obstacle. So it wasn't so much I'm against the quote unquote illegal labor. It's that this is a tool for the people that we're trying to hold accountable. This is their way out. Oh, you guys with a legal right to work here want to unionize? Fine, to hell with you. We're gonna go get these guys, bring them over here because they're not gonna complain. Well, those dudes had shitty conditions. Those dudes weren't getting, it's not like they were being well taken care of, right? Well, as long as they kept doing that, you can't unionize the workers, the folks like him and his family and everybody else's family that was already working in the field. So he's like, okay, well,
Joseph Quiñones to talk about Cesar Chavez.
So Chavez says, well, this is the get around. We got to stop this get around, right? We're never going to be able to hold these growers accountable if they keep getting this labor. So we have to stop this labor. This labor is not a dignified labor process. This is not like, oh, these dudes are getting treated good and these ones aren't. Everybody's getting treated bad, but I can't do shit about them getting treated bad because they're not even supposed to be here. Not from a moral place of they're not supposed to be here, but from a legal place. You can't defend them because all I do is kick them back over the border. So
what do you think
they
overall?
Have no voice.
Overall positive legacy though.
Yeah, I think he absolutely and he worked to change laws in terms of agriculture working that impact workers to this day in the field, documented and undocumented alike. But also, did he get to be an egomaniac? Yeah, he did. Because he was traveling around setting up all these little spots, setting up all these little registration areas and all these little collectives all through the valley. But what he saw in his experience of being a community worker is that when the leader left, the ship fell apart, right? And so he took a very authoritarian approach when it came to the farm workers union. I'm not going to let this fall apart. I'm going to keep my hand on everything, everywhere. And that turned a lot of people off. And that did not earn him a lot of friends, even in that movement. A lot of people are like, hey, you're doing too much, bro. Like, all of a sudden, you're the king of the world now. Let's take it easy. And was he a man and did he have his own stuff? Of course. Like, he wasn't perfect, right? But overall, yes, I think absolutely is a positive legacy. And he went the dudes on the FBI list. Like, he's being monitored. People talk about COINTELPRO and they were watching the Black Panthers. They were watching Martin Luther King. They were watching Chavez too. So he also had to deal with that part.
They were watching him for sure.
Like now, because the whole Chicano power movement to kind of go full circle. And so they're watching him and the whole red baiting and like, hey, people are going to jail for being communists. Shit's getting shut down. People are getting assassinated for being communists. So even internally now he's got to figure it out. And do I think he made every right move? Of course not. But I think I think he was an icon still in his own right, Okay. But I don't have a problem with us digging up the dirt.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. One thing he hated on was my parents for being communists. That's why I left. Right.
Okay.
It's
Tell him on 15. Tell him on 15. One of the did I cut you off? Because I know we can go on that. Overall, I wanted to give the people
just put a period behind this. Is I'm not one of those people though that feels like we shouldn't talk about those things. Nah, none of us are bulletproof either, right? But let's be fair. Let's not just take little sound bites. Like, let's not let our history be based on TikTok segments. People are more complicated. Historia is more complicated. The movements and struggles are more complicated. Let's talk about the ugly stuff. I don't have a problem with it. But don't let a little bit of ugly overshadow the beauty either.
And then, some people might have took a short that I did too on YouTube. They might have said, of course they want to see it, right. Because maybe he wanted to close the borders. Guys, I'm going to put the most dramatic shit on the shorts. So everyone gets people to see it. I might post the most dramatic shit. Right. But come on, I'm from Salinas and we had one of the few United Farm Worker headquarters. Right. So I was told it was a good thing until I researched on my own. Real quick, I want to touch one final thing just from me. This is in regards to a very popular culture that has taken the internet by storm lately. It's called the food community. Okay, this is what I want to say. And I'm not talking about one particular podcast. I'm not talking about one particular person. I'm talking about this whole culture in general, which is to me, it's bringing back 80s, bringing back 90s culture. You know, one way or another is bringing it up higher, socks, this and that. Right. Is this something that is helping the people? Is this something that is making the people progress? Is this something that's holding them back to old stereotypes? I've had that own debate in my own head. This is something that I'm not like, I have no concrete on. Right. And I'm kind of like, I see it as other people will also see it and see it as something that mocks Chicanos, it mocks people. And I wanted to get your intake because you see them doing just, I mean, again, it looks like it's just the 80s, 90s all over again. And it's just, now it's in the 2020s, but they're making videos about it. What do you think about that whole thing about talking slang? I mean, stereotypes are always going to be, they're always going to exist until the end of time. But is that something that, you know, is it just entertainment and no harm, no foul? Or is it something that people blow up because they see a music video and the guy's wearing a sombrero on a music video or eating tacos? I'm just going to keep it real. I mean, you know, how I was raised and stuff like that. You know, and then seeing Mexican parents, they didn't make too many issues of things. That doesn't mean we should be stepped on as a people. But now I see something like that, and I see some people in the comment section saying, you know what, that was 80s, that might have been 90s, and we shouldn't be trying to keep pumping that out because that holds us back from people looking at us as society that we could be who we are.
I think that's a good question. If I can bring a good question, I think you know, it's cool to have something where you look back. Some of us remember those times. Some of us were around in those times, and so it's a little comedy. You're like, oh, okay, well, you know. I think certain aspects of food community, I'm not a huge fan of.
And you're talking in general. We're not talking about one podcast.
No, I'm not talking about a podcast.
We're talking about everything that you see because now there's 100 Instagram pages that are called food,
right?
Or maybe thousands. We don't know.
Yeah, and such. I think the aspect of it which makes it like a world star, right? For those guys familiar, kind of world star hip hop, right? And world star, and people would act a fool, fighting, tagging on walls, doing crazy, outlandish stuff, hashtagging food community, hoping that their antics would get a wider audience. That aspect I don't like. I don't like that. I don't like the pages that show everybody crossing out other people's barrios and everybody. And I was watching something the other day, bro. You had like a 9-year-old kid talking like an 11-year-old kid, and you let out with the ball. And what are in the hashtags? Food community all day long, right? So that stuff, no, I think that's promoting danger. There's a dangerous pattern there, right? Let's not fight to see who can have the raza-based world star hip hop. I don't think world star hip hop was very good for that community, and that's just my thing. It's all fun and games until actually people are getting hurt, right? I think there's a balance there. You know,
some see it for entertainment.
The high socks, the Cortez, all that stuff, right? Like that was an era, that was a fashion. I don't like the mocking, right? Some jokes, some humor is fine, but also it can it not just be food stuff, right? That's what I'd like. It's cool to have humor, like humor that's geared to a certain audience, right? Like, and that's great because you don't necessarily see it at other places, so that's fun to have, right? The entertainment, the humor, the kind of inside jokes, so to speak, that we all get, right? And nobody else is gonna make it, right? But is there any more? Can we also include, you know, a little history? Can we also include
some resources of the people?
Somebody from that era that bam, fool, like, you know, made it in the movies, or somebody that dresses that way but is in college.
Well, two people that you're looking at, two people that made it right here.
Yes, sir.
Here's two people that made it right here. So you know we're probably what it should be, right? Is an evolution, is thinking and making sure your familia comes first, handle your business.
What's the slogan for Chicano too, right?
Exactly. Cultura, Dios, familia y cultura. That's what it is. That's what it is. Okay, I wanted to get your input on that. You know what? I'm not gonna make it any much longer. We appreciate everyone
that's fun. This is an experiment. You guys let us know in the comments and stuff. Like, what did you think? Did this work out well? I'm happy on a personal level, even if only 2 people ever watch, bro. I'm happy because I just got to come hang out with you, and that's a blessing in itself. That for me, that's where the real joy is.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And so hopefully you guys enjoy some of our conversations.
That's right. You know, we're talking about other things. We're talking about real estate.
Yeah.
We're talking about real life, family things, which I'm tapping in right now. I'm about to go.
Right. It's family time.
It's family time right now. So I'll let you guys go. You guys hit that like button one time, and of course, many more of these coming. Very, very soon. Yes. Highly appreciate him. Don't forget to subscribe over. We got Rascal Reacts, and of course, we got Homie Hangout. Yes. And of course, we're live on Chicano Tube. No better guest than to have my brother from another mother. We're side by side. I know we're looking at the camera, but we're.
You guys want to see? Okay. Just to prove it, we didn't go find backyards.
And maybe if the people want to see, if the people want to see debates, maybe topics, we could set something up. And maybe if you guys are interested enough, and comment below, say you like to have rapid fire debates, not long videos, that we can go back and forth. I still don't even know where they think we might vary on.
I know. That's what I'd like to see.
You know, they see me coming over here. I had a USA shirt the other day, and maybe they're thinking, I don't know what they're thinking. I can't even put it. I can't put it on. Nothing.
You let us know.
You let us know what you think. But any kind of little rapid fire debate is coming real soon. We'll let you guys go.
And we can get a little timer. Right? We can make it real official. Yeah?
That's right. That's right. Don't forget to smash that like button. We're out. You guys enjoy the rest of your Sunday. We'll be back to a regularly scheduled program on Monday. Remember what I always say in the end. All you got is the memories.
That's right. Help us move with excellence, man. That's what homies do. Guys, take care. Hey, gracias, JJ.
Appreciate you, JJ.